I'm very pleased to be talking with my co-author, Be the Beacon, Dr. Kristi Borst. How are you today, Kristi?
I'm wonderful, Liz. Hi, everyone.
Oh. So your chapter in Be the Beacon is This Little Light of Mine. What inspired you to use that as a title for your chapter?
The title actually was a little bit elusive to me for a bit, but the story really is about that little light that we all have, and that I believe we're here to radiate. And my own personal kind of reconnection with a part of myself, a really huge part of myself that I'm living as now, that I shut down as a child. So, that song, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, was part of my childhood. It was also even part of my adulthood as a Sunday school teacher for a while, but I was sort of not connected with that light.
Mm-hmm. And I know the work that you do, you're an intuitive spiritual healer and founder of Perspective Reboot, which is an energy healing process. And so I love in your chapter that you open up with this idea of someone telling you that you're a healer and you having difficulty accepting that, right? Having difficulty owning that. So that really stood out to me because I know for me and a lot of people I've talked to, they can't see that light in themselves, and other people from the outside could see it. But sometimes it's hard to really own that for ourselves.
And I think it's important, and I did say in the chapter, we're all healers, right? We're all either healing or hurting one another. So the hesitancy, I believe, in my own experience of owning that I was a quote unquote great healer, was that part of myself had been shut down when I was a child. I talk about the experience that I had and my father freaking out and telling me to never do that again. And being such an obedient child and just loving my father, with total abandon and unconditioned, I really hid that part of myself so well that I forgot it was there. And I think that this is part of the work that I do. Is I have this vision now, Liz, that I see the hide and seek game that we individually play. In mine, it was, I have these healing abilities that I forget about. In someone else's, it may be that they're a wonderful singer, but they were told as a child, they sounded terrible and they shut that part of themselves down. So, it plays out for us in many different ways, but I'm the sleuth now.
I love that.
I can kind of help people remember, bring back into their conscious awareness whatever aspect of light that they either are avoiding. And I tried to kind of communicate this in an earlier interview with Divya. Sometimes those things that we're avoiding are actually like our gateways to more and better.
Oh, that's so true. Right? Yeah, it might be that thing, that step that we need to take to things that we can't really imagine at the time, right? I know that's certainly been true in my life, but there's reasons that we like put up a wall to those things. So that's so cool. That I love the image of you as a sleuth to try to investigate what it is so that you can help people find their light and get into that space. I know there's different ways that you do this. Do you want to talk a little bit about I don't know if it's modalities or ways that you work with people?
It's part of what I guess I would say, gift from spirit is that I am intuitive. I'm a clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, clair, whatever the other one is.
All the clairs.
Yeah, all the clairs.
Yeah.
So, when I connect in with someone, whether they're in person with me or somewhere across the world, we're connected through that little light of mine. and that little light of theirs, which is connected to the big light that we all are connected to. And I receive messages. Sometimes I see them at a certain age. Sometimes they see themselves as a certain age, and information starts coming together. Sometimes it's even from beyond this physical reality. It's from another time and space that either there's a piece that's disconnected or needs to be healed. So it's hard to really explain the work because it's not in a vacuum. It's not controlled. It's open to the higher guidance that is ready and waiting for that person. And sometimes people want to change, but they're trying to change through their mind, and the mind is stuck. I call these kind of things that I help release like old 8-track tapes that are just, they're just plugged in there and they just keep looping around and looping around. And so I have processes for kind of pulling those out, living almost like above the mind, above that voice that wants to kind of keep us small. So that's kind of more like a behavioral thing. If someone's actually having physical pain or disease, again, I can go to the non-physical aspects. And I believe that everything in this physical world starts in the non-physical. So if you think about, writing a book, it's a great example. You have an idea first, and then the idea flows out of you into words, and then the words go off to the press and they become a book. Same thing happens with our bodies. The physical illness starts in the non-physical as a thought, as a trauma, as an emotion that we couldn't process at the time, and we just kind of stuffed it. So many times physical pain and disease are actually our body reporting back to us what needs to be shifted in the non-physical.
I am such a proponent of that, that teaching and understanding, because it doesn't make it not real. It doesn't mean it's all in your head, right? It is physically manifesting in your body. You do become sick. You are physically in pain, but there's ways to get to that root cause of it. Go through the non-physical to relieve those physical symptoms. So I love that you do that with people.
It's actually empowering.
It's
yes. Taking you from a victim of your body to seeing how you are creator of your body. And I always tell people, if they do have physical problems, do not own anything you do not want to keep. So do not say, I have XYZ, because then you're almost telling your body to hold on to that vibe of whatever that is. So, just be open to healing and growing and expanding, and that's what you're going to start to experience.
And I know before we hit live, you were sharing with me a chakra experience that you are doing with people now. Could you talk a little bit about that? I might be wording.
Yes, sure. In addition to the one-to-one session work that I do, I have offered group sessions, and one of those series was a chakra healing, expanding, clearing series. So I have that offered as a bundle. So it's really 7 individual sessions that the person can do in order, or they can do, skip around. And because of the Ladies Power Lunch Summit and the opening of Be the Beacon, I did discount that package. So I will post a link in the comments to that.
It's very gracious of you. Thank you for offering that too.
Of
our
course.
people. Yeah. Anything else that you want to make sure that you share before we wrap up our call today?
So the the workshop I did was really brief, but I just want to encourage people, to realize you have a story, but you don't have to stick with it. I like to say that's my story, but I'm not sticking with it. And just to be, I'm going to just hold this up and I think it's going to be visible. So just be conscious, become more conscious of what your beliefs are, because look what's hidden right in the middle of those beliefs. There could be lies just created in this world of really, there's a lot of illusions, because many times we take things as woundings when it never was the other person's intention to wound us. But again, it's the soul calling for us to rise above in some way. So I did get a message this morning, which I'd like to share if I may.
Yes, please.
So we come from light and love, even if this illusionary story of our humanness would tell us differently. We're surrounded by love and light, even when family and friends may tell us or treat us differently. And we are expanding toward more light and love, even if the illusionary fears playing out in the world right now would tell us differently.
Mhm. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, that's very powerful. Mm.
So thank you so much for your support on this Be the Beacon project. It was such a sweet ride, and
Good.
I've enjoyed
And
meeting people through it. And
yeah, yeah, I'm so grateful that you found us in kind of a serendipitous way to come in a synergistic way. It's very lovely that we got to have you as part of this book. I'm so grateful for you. How do people get in touch with you when they want to learn more about the work that you're doing, maybe do a one-on-one session with you? How do they get?
my website is Healing Resonance, the number 4.me. So Healing Resonance for me. I can again post that in the chat, or just come on to my Facebook page and there's a link there. I offer a 14-hour so far podcast, which has lots of expanding perceptions or perspectives and ways for people to kind of shift out of the old paradigm toward this more self-mastery paradigm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today, Kristi.
Oh,
Very great.
it's so my pleasure. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.